Magad, Concorda and Taoiseach, first of all, on a different matter, I want to welcome your announcement the other day on Loch Finchon that the Umbro is getting before Friday the application. I know it's 3 weeks late, but I hope that it can be expedited as soon as possible, but I do welcome it. That's the first thing I want to say. Taoiseach, this evening we're having a debate about the Apple tax and we're talking about fair sums of money in the budget. But a problem that arises is that money doesn't solve every problem. I met Sean and Kevin in late 2022, a father and son, where the son is severely autistic, non-verbal. And the son, unfortunately, doesn't sleep only short times and goes out to the kitchen, could wreck the house, could go out, wreck the car. The father has other siblings, younger children who, unfortunately, and it's not Sean's fault, would have encountered difficult situations with them. We engaged the services, we went through all the process that you're to go through the HSE. I've brought it up to your colleague, former Taoiseach Varadkar. I've brought it to Fianna Fáil leader Micheál Martin in here twice over the last 2 years. And we have had numerous meetings with the HSE, Brothers of Charity, and was promised the sun, moon and stars. And ironically, it's not money. I remember where we were promised respite, and it came for a while and then it disappeared. Sean was tried out in a new place to see how he'd go, unfortunately because of his situation, but he's hand through a window. They just, because they're private operators, says, no, don't want it. But we were promised that the minute Sean became 18 years an adult, because there was no place before that Sean would have a place this July. And we went to meetings with the Brothers of Charity and the HSE since January. In January, in fairness to Minister Rabbitte, and in fairness to a person in the west of Ireland that's over it, I won't go naming them, they're a civil servant, the money was granted from the HSE for this. We had 3 meetings with the Brothers of Charity. We talked about houses in 3 places. They told us how they had to get them ready. We said, fine. Will you stick with us? Yes, we will. So this kept going on since last February or March. Sean was going to be an adult in July. July came, they says, well, we're not ready yet now. We have to decide on what house. This will take a few more months and it'll be gradual. And then we got a bomb thrown at us where the Brothers of Charity chief wrote to the father and said, we're going to send the money back to the HSE. We're not going to do this service anymore. What has gone on with the Brothers of Charity, and I'm not talking about, I'm not criticising the person that granted the money. The money is being granted by the HSE. But what's going on in the charitable sectors at the moment for people that have disabilities is pathetic. The way that youngster has been treated is pathetic. He has been dropped, his father had to bring him to A&E in Galway Monday. Roscommon Hospital Psychiatric wouldn't take him, where the house has been absolutely wrecked in the last few days. All right, Deputy. Galway said, bring him home, we have no bed. Is that the Ireland that we look at treating people that has disabilities? Or are we going to change it and tell people you have a job to do, you deliver? It's not about money, it's about delivery. And it's scandalous what that father has gone through.
Thank you, Deputy Fitzmaurice. Taoiseach.
I want to thank Deputy Fitzmaurice for raising this important matter. Firstly, in relation to Loch Finchon, I want to thank him for the constructive engagement he's had with government on this matter, and I am genuinely pleased that Roscommon County Council intend to submit this planning application to An Bord Pleanála this week. I've been in the homes of the people impacted. It's quite horrific, and the fear they're living with, and we'll all continue to work closely on that. And I'm conscious winter is coming, and we'll work together on it. And I thank Minister O'Donnell for his work and Roscommon County Council. But look, you've raised a very serious issue in relation to Sean, and I'd ask that we talk further about it after, because I have a big long note here and I can read it all out about all the extra investment that we're making in disability services, and I appreciate the excellent work being done by my colleague Minister Anne Rabbitte in this area, as you've acknowledged too. But in many ways the story you've told hits the nail on the head in terms of, regardless of money, regardless of investment, young people and not so young people getting lost in trying to navigate a system where it seems to be centred around everybody other than the person with the disability. And that's why we have genuinely set up a new Cabinet Committee on Disability. It's why I'm chairing it myself, and it's why we're trying to bring everybody around the table to see how, when we make decisions in relation to investment, that investment's actually going to where we expect it to go in terms of improving service delivery. And I know this is something that Minister Rabbitte is absolutely passionate about, because year on year we're increasing significantly, as we should, the amount of money that we're putting into disability. Year on year, we're giving the go-ahead to increase staff. We're talking more and more to organisations about what we can do. We're trying to rectify issues that Section 39 disability organisations meet, including their increased pay to staff, an issue that they were campaigning on for ages. We've taken measures as a government to address that 8% increase. And yet we still hear of situations in relation to Sean where, despite an allocation by government to help support him, he finds himself without a service as well. So I think the best thing I can do, Ceann Comhairle, is ask Minister Rabbitte to engage directly with Deputy Fitzmaurice on Sean's case, as I will too. But I think the reason you're highlighting is not just in advocating for Sean, but also I think in highlighting a broader issue in terms of the level of reform that we do need to drive and will drive in return for increased investment. We're not going to just be able to keep writing cheques without actually asking what impactful difference is this making to the lives of people with a disability.
Deputy Fitzmaurice.
Taoiseach, the problem appears to be that if something is a difficult case, that whatever the provider, they will decide, well, look, this is too much hassle, we'll throw the money back, and that's what's going on. And what we have to have is that people start being responsible for the jobs they have at hand. The facts are at the moment that if you're under 18 years of age, there's really no place to go. We tried everything for that youngster. It is such a sad story. When that youngster became an adult, the choices that's facing parents at the moment is that you go to A&E and you drop them off and you disown them. That's an awful thing to have to say, to try and get residential care. Or you go to the forecourts down the road. Them are the two choices that parents have at the moment. And I see so many parents, and I'm not talking about, this instance has an intellectual disability, but there are some people that need help. Parents have looked after their youngsters for many years. They've got older, and they are worried before they pass on, that there be some place to look after those people. And at the moment, we have no place in this country to help those people. I would ask you, Taoiseach, I have liaised with Minister Rabbitte. This isn't about Minister Rabbitte or about the person in the HSE in the west of Ireland. This is about a charity that's getting a lot of money, taxpayers' money, that aren't prepared to do the graft. They have told us blatant lies, and now they said, we'll throw back the money and we'll leave you high and dry. That's not acceptable.
Well, look, I can hear the passion in your voice in terms of the situation you're working your way through, and I do think it highlights a broader issue around how you empower the person with a disability and their family in terms of the budget that the state allocates to them. And I know Minister Rabbitte and Minister O'Gorman and others have done work in relation to this. I mean, rather than just funding the charity or the service provider, that model of actually funding the individual in terms of a personalised budget has been transformative in some areas, where you say to the young person, or again the not so young person or their family if that arises, you actually say, well, look, the state is funding you, you're now empowered, rather than actually saying, here you go charity X or here you go charity Y. So let's look further at what we can do more in relation to that model. I can tell you, and I do just want to say this, I mean, there are places, obviously, in terms of residential places, and I do say that to parents following this today. We have allocated more money this year, 15.5 million this year, for an additional 100 priority 1 residential placements nationally. But you're quite right to highlight the issue. The demographic pressures are real in relation to this. We had a very good roundtable recently, Minister O'Gorman, Minister Rabbitte, myself, with all disability organisations and many disability representative groups in advance of Budget 2025, and we'll reflect on your comments in relation to that and liaise directly on Sean.